Hello and welcome to SMPD, the podcast where we look back at the shows that shaped our childhood. I am Chris Bolton. With me, as always, my partner in podcasting, Mr. Mark Williams.
Hello.
And this week, we're back on schedule after last week's slight detour to the aforementioned wacky and outrageous show. We are looking back at Funhouse.
Yeah, no, I hadn't realised quite how long this ran for, and how many changes they made.
Forever, like as it's only just finished, I think, hasn't it?
Yeah, but 2 weeks ago. Yeah, no, it ran from 89. I thought it finished around about 94, 95, but it actually ran to 99.
Yeah. 94, 95 is just when you stopped watching.
That's quite possibly that maybe when I discovered porn. But yeah, it just I didn't.
Did you not know about the twins? What the?
Well, I was aware of them.
What did you need porn for?
Anyway, but yeah, so I didn't know how long it ran for. I've picked up a couple of the later ones the last couple of days while I've been watching, and fuck me, I've forgotten how annoying Pat Sharp is.
Now this is interesting, okay, because I've rewatched a few as well, and my memory of this, has, and again, Mandela effect kind of thing. I've convinced myself that Pat Sharp was annoying as fuck because he's Pat Sharp. I actually think he's fucking brilliant.
No, I watched
that I've watched.
I watched a couple from early on, and he was all right. And then the later ones, he turned into a smug twat.
Right. Now, it's earlier ones that I've watched, and I was actually really impressed by. Well, I mean, let's just get into the show then. One of the first things that struck me was actually how he treats the show so seriously, and he doesn't condescend to those kids whatsoever. He's got a very difficult fucking job because those kids are fucking hard work. Yeah. And he's trying to keep that show in check. He's trying to keep it on the rise. I thought he was excellent. He's got plenty of energy without being like, hey, hello, kids.
Yeah.
It's not that at all.
As I say, early on, I think I watched 3 or 4 from the first 1 or 2 seasons, and I watched something from about 97, 98, and he was a completely different person by then. It's like when they cut his hair, he had a character transplant.
I mean, all his power is clearly in his hair, isn't it? I was really impressed by it, but I have only watched like earlier episodes. I figured I'd go as far back as possible. And that was the very first thing that surprised me, because as soon as he bounced on screen with the first one I watched, I was like, oh, here we fucking go. And then he charmed me straight away. He won me around immediately.
The first one I watched, it was from some 97, 98, and he came on, so that, they had all the kids and the parents running on, which I'd forgotten about. I forgot they did that. And then he comes on, he runs on so far, stops, picks up a pogo stick, bounces on it twice, and falls on his face. But then rather than go, oh, well, fucking hell, there we go, and carrying on, he tries to make it out like he did it on purpose.
I mean, that's fine.
And it's like, no, dude, just fucking own it. You fell over, it's fine. Yeah, and from there, it kind of went downhill. And I did find, actually, that it's interesting you said that, in the early ones, he didn't patronize the kids. Later on, he really did.
Really? Okay.
It was all about the dad jokes and putting the kids down and how stupid they looked when they were dressed up as fucking penguins and stuff like that. It's like, hang on a minute. These kids are on a TV show that you're hosting. You shouldn't be taking the piss out of them.
Oh, I mean, he's kind of doing that in the early ones as well. But that's kind of what I liked, was he was bantering with the kids. He was taking the piss out of them, and he wasn't talking down to them like a children's TV presenter. He was just meeting them on their level. I really liked that. That's really, really unusual, especially in children's TV and live action children's TV, to be that just kind of forward with kids and just be like, yeah, it's fine. This is just a game show that you're on. I'm going to take the piss out of you. These are my jokes. I'm not going to dumb them down for you, because he doesn't. There's the odd cheeky wink to the camera as well for the parents. There is the odd thing in there that he's just like, that joke is flying, and not dirty or anything, but just like that joke is flying straight above a kid's head.
Yeah, I did pick a couple of those out of the early ones. I did pick a few of those out.
So I thought he was really good. It just struck me how professional he was, when this could quite clearly just be like, oh, this is just a stupid fucking game show for kids, and I've just got to dick about, and there's loads of slime, and whatever, it's paying the fucking bills. Because, I mean, let's not forget at this point, like, okay, so he's not like a megastar or anything, but he's still, by the time he's doing Funhouse, he's still Pat Sharp. He's still a well-known radio DJ and presenter. Like, all right, now he's probably more known for Funhouse than anything amongst our generation. But by the time he's doing this, he's not some fucking nobody. He doesn't, by any means, have to do this.
Yeah. Well, he probably did. He's probably under contract with ITV, because he did the Saturday morning thing with Andy Crane as well, didn't he?
He did that.
Big Motormouth, was it?
something like that. When
that
there
was
was so
called?
many of them on there. I'm normally pretty good at remembering the Saturday morning shows, aren't I? But I can't remember the one that he was on.
I think the problem is it was one of these. It was like Live and Kicking, but not as good. But also, it was just a vehicle for other stuff. It was a
Yeah,
vehicle for ITV to play
cartoons.
play the cartoons and shit that we talk about.
Yeah,
So it didn't really have to be anything. And I think that I'm sure it was the one with Andy Crane he was on. But yeah, it was basically a case of, right, we're here, we're going to go for it for an hour and a half, where we don't really have to do much apart from introduce some cartoons. And it felt like it was one of those, well, yeah, we've got you a gig doing this, but you're going to have to do something else for us as well. So you can do Funhouse, but you've got to present that for us as well.
but then he did it for years and years and years. So he was clearly like enjoying it, or at least getting paid a lot for it. But yeah, I mean, he did the chart show on ITV as well, didn't he? Or their version of the chart show, whatever that was. I can't remember what it was called.
It was called the chart show.
Oh, there you go then. BBC's Top of the Pops, ITV's the chart show. There you go. Then. But yeah, I was amazed how, because that was the only thing. I loved Funhouse as a kid. Like really fucking loved it.
Yeah.
It was probably my favorite of these kind of children's game shows, actually, and I'd wager still is if I go back and watch more. But the main thing that was kind of sticking in my head when I knew this was coming up was like, oh fuck, man, I'm gonna have to sit through a couple of hours of Pat fucking Sharp. And then I'm like, actually, no, do you know what? He's really fucking charming. So I probably realized that as a kid as well, and it didn't bother me. It's just I think sort of, you know, in the interim you can't say he's ever gone away. Like, he's not, Funhouse isn't a big thing anymore, but Pat Sharp's still very much a DJ, and he's still a personality who's recognizable and stuff like that. But I feel like in the interim, kind of irony has claimed him in the same way that it's claimed your Keith Chegwins and your Timmy Mallets, and is like, yeah, we thought he was cool, but actually he's a giant fucking penis. And that's completely unfair. I think that is completely unfair. But that unfortunately is, and look, it's our generation that did that when we were students, because these guys were all going around student unions and doing shots off people's belly buttons and what have you.
Yeah.
Like, we did that to them. All right. So I'm owning that. But that's kind of the camp that I put him in. Yeah. And that was totally unfair, because I think actually he's not that at all. Obviously, he is still working, so there's something about him, you know, and he's clearly here. He's excellent. Like, hats off to him. Like, and that, look, yeah, they cut his hair. That was a mistake, because that mullet is fucking awesome. Like, he's one of the few people that can actually wear a mullet. And there are very few people that can do that and pull it off. And he definitely pulls that mullet off. Like, he doesn't look like a dick in that mullet at all. No. He definitely owns it. Yeah. But yeah, you're talking about the entrance. Every episode that I watched, he did a different entrance. Now, whether they were his ideas or someone else's, I don't know.
Fine with that. And it just bugged us. So the one that stood out, so the one where you used to get, he would come in and he'd, you know, if he was on a pogo stick or a fucking space hopper or whatever it was, he'd make it about 5 yards before he stopped. But generally, he wouldn't fall on his face and then pretend he did like he meant to do it. Because you could see when he fell, he had no fucking control over what he's doing whatsoever.
But again, like, the fact that that's still in there and he's gone with it as well, it's like, because this isn't live. So, yeah, he's willing to have that in. He could have reshot that as many times as he liked, but he's like, nah, let's take it. You know, the same when he's introducing the games, literally everyone I watched, where there was any kind of guns or anything stupid like that involved, he just got his hands straight in there. He was just like, and this is what this is, scooping it up, flinging it around everywhere, making fun of it, just getting in there with the kids and meeting them on their level. And that is really unusual. That struck me straight away. If, like, hang on, he's like, yeah, this is a stupid show, and the potential is to treat this like a really stupid fucking kids game show, and he's not. He's treating it like he's on fucking Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's absolutely taking it seriously.
Oh, completely.
It's got all the charm of a game show host as well.
Yeah. Just, and I mean, one thing I didn't realize, I hadn't realized it was based on an American version. So I hadn't realized they had a version first, which was slightly more outlandish, and it was for cash. But obviously we can't do that. Well, we couldn't do that here because of the EU ruling on on letting kids gamble, because that's effectively what it is. So I hadn't realized that, but I did find a few clips of that, and that is fucking mental.
I've never seen it. I knew there was
an American version. With an American version, it's 9,000 times bigger and louder and more ostentatious, and has more guns and more flashing lights and all this sort of shit. To a point where actually I felt it was a bit too big. There was a bit too much going on, and I think that the British version of it, and then the things that followed it. I mean, there have been lots of shows that have followed it in the same sort of vein. I mean, the most recent one, or one of the recent ones I can think of from when from when Jess was young, which is probably predates her a little bit, was one called Swashbuckle. Very similar principle. You had your gunge games, you had some villains in it to make it a bit more interesting, and then you had the big pirate ship at the end, and you had to go around and find they were coloured crystals. So instead of finding the tags in the funhouse, you're finding treasure on a ship. So, but there were lots of things followed this type of model. I remember there being quite a few at the time, although I can't remember names of half of them.
There were loads. I mean, you had things like Finders Keepers was another one that I really liked.
That was the one in the house, wasn't it?
That was the one in the house. Yeah. So that was one. It was Neil Buchanan. Yeah. Get Your Own Back was sort of, you didn't have the house thing or anything at the end.
No, that was
loads of guns and shit like that. Yeah. There was loads of guns and things flying around.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was a lot of this at the time. And as a format, I mean, there was the one with my arch nemesis on as well. The film one, was it the movie show or something like that, where they had like a giant board game that you moved around and it was all based on films.
Yeah.
And fucking John Barrowman fucking presented it. Penis. Do you know what, just on a quick tangent, I love now that everybody's realised that he's an absolute asshole. Like every story you read about him lately is about what a cockwomble John Barrowman is. John Barrowman, sorry. As I've been fucking telling you for years. Used to live underneath the guy. I've been telling you for years he's an arsehole. Don't fall for his tricks. And now people have woken up to it. And I'm just like, look, I'm not Mr. I told you so usually, but on this one, I absolutely fucking told you so. Sorry, listeners, off on a tangent there. Yeah, these stories about him getting his cock out and stuff like that.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I used to do that in my lift. You know, like this is not unusual. He's an arsehole.
Anyway, move on before we get sued.
Fuck was I? I don't care. He's a prick. Where the fuck was I?
So other kids' game shows.
Other kids' game shows. Yeah. So there was that one that he did. I remember really like that.
I vaguely remember that one. I'm not so.
Whizbit was another one. At this point, I'm just naming kids' game shows. But I really liked all of these where, you know, I've talked about this in the show before. Like I have a love for huge sets and practical effects, and I think it's probably partly linked to my love of themed entertainment and theme parks. I think that's part of it as well. But you know, you look at something like the Funhouse, and that is a giant fucking set that's been built with loads of moving parts, and the games they'd wheel in. Look, it's very, very crude, but there was these huge things that got built which you just wouldn't see anymore. Now the temptation would be for this to be done on a location, or for it to be done in fucking CG. You know, and look, there's a place for that as well. We've done Nightmare on the show previously and talked about how much we love that, but you know, back in these days, it was just like, okay, well, let's build this giant fucking set, and we'll just leave it up, and we can just use it and use it and use it. And like, it kind of pays for itself from a production standpoint as well. Because I don't
build it once and it's done.
Yeah. And I don't know anything about the production of this show, but I would imagine like these are 20 odd minutes of a clip. They're going to take a few takes of a few things like the intro and the outro, but it's a game show. So it's largely going to be done
one take.
Pretty much. Yeah. 1-2 takes maybe if you need coverage and stuff like that. Don't fall for this thing that is all happening live, kids. No. But you're not going to be shooting masses of coverage. So you can probably knock out like 2 or 3 of these in a day.
Oh Christ, at least. I mean, you're probably talking more than that.
Yeah.
I mean, and the format they do it where you have, you know, you get a boy and a girl from a particular school. So you bring their class along, you bring their teacher along, maybe you bring a couple of parents. But you would do that as an outing. You'd say, right, we want 2 buses from Greater Manchester, 2 buses from London.
Yeah.
Get them in, 3 schools in each, and we'll fucking bash out half a dozen episodes.
Yeah, and they all stay there all day, and just
and then that's how you get your crowd as well. You any crowd reactions you want from the school is fine. You just say, right, okay, we'll just chuck them at the front for the. You rotate them around, make sure they've got the right colour shirts on, and then you're away, because you only ever need them for a couple of cutaways anyway.
Yeah, I mean the cutaways. Yeah, I was going to say the actual crowd noise though. When you watch numerous episodes back to back, as we've done for this show, the crowd noise is very clearly recorded and reused. It's very clearly canned. Because it actually, if you listen to it as well, they're not shouting for school names. Everybody's just shouting yellow, red, yellow. And it's the same. The chanting is exactly the same all the time. The cheers are the same all the time. So, you know, this thing's very easy to produce, as all those other shows would have been. But I definitely had huge love for them as a kid. But amongst all of those, like, Finders Keepers was close. I really liked that as well. But Funhouse clearly stood head and shoulders above all of them.
I mean, it's certainly the one that stood out. It's certainly the one I remember most. I mean, I've only watched probably 3 or 4 episodes, maybe 6 at a clip over the last 2 days. And yeah, I mean, I didn't remember specific games. There were a couple that stood out. So there was one which I watched in the last hour, whereby they had to dress as penguins and get fish out of a gunge pond. And so they had to come down the slide, get a fish out, put it in a bucket, go back around, climb up the stairs, go down the slide again, and you could only do one at a time. And yeah, it was always just shit like that. And whatever variation you had of that, there was you go down some form of slide or zip line or fireman's pole into gunge or into a ball pool, and you have to find something. Yeah, and it's so simple. If you look at any kid's soft play center now, that's what these things are fucking modelled on.
Yeah, I mean I think that was the beauty of Funhouse when you get to the actual house at the end, is that, and we've talked about this I think when we were doing Charlie Chalk, because I was talking about Charlie Chalk's Fun Factories and stuff.
Yeah.
But like, I know this has become soft play now, but when we were kids, this was the kind of thing that you had in family pubs up and down the country and beer gardens, and it's like somebody looked at those, like, what are kids like? Well, they like all this foamy shit and ball pools, so let's just make a game involved in that. And it is just like the Funhouse is the most perfectly evolved version of that, whereby, you know, if you're doing that with your mum and dad, maybe, you know, once every couple of months for a birthday or whatever, and you're having this big exciting day out where you're going out for a family meal and you get to go in the fucking in the ball pit Funhouse and stuff, but then you see the best version of that on TV that you just know you can never go in, but
because it's got go-karts and guns and shit.
It's just the best ever, you know. And there's a certain amount of wish fulfillment happening now when you look around you with what's happening with similar but different Crystal Maze, and you see that now they're actually building that for real and letting you go in it, and it's that same element of wish fulfillment. Whereas a kid, you were going like, okay, that is like the ultimate fucking day out.
And this was sort of that. The adult soft play things, and like just one.
Wait. There's what? There's adult soft play.
Yeah.
Why do I not know about this? Like
they combine it with basically like trampoline parks, but they put the activities and shit in there.
Okay, can I drink alcohol whilst I do this?
No, unfortunately not.
Bollock. Right, it's useless then, isn't it? They've ruined it.
If you go in and you're already half cut, they don't fucking breathalyze you.
Well, that's okay then. But I mean, I want to be drinking in there. They've ruined that. Like
they don't let you drink water in there or anything else.
You need a little, I mean, not in the ball pool and stuff like that.
Obviously. Oh, in the place, though, yeah.
But
in the venue, yeah.
Yeah, but what, like, they need an area set aside, like all wipe clean because it's soft play, with like bouncy tables and bouncy chairs that you can sit on with plastic cups. What a missed opportunity. Like, all right, you're going to spill more drink than you're actually going to fucking drink, but then you're just going to go and buy another one, aren't you?
Yeah, it's like fucking £6 a pop or something like that.
Yeah, but okay, but you can drink in the place and then go in the ball pool and stuff.
I wouldn't recommend getting plastered because they'd probably stop you, but yeah.
Oh, I'm doing this. Like, I'm flat out fucking... Not at the moment, because they're probably the most unhygienic places on the fucking planet.
Yes.
But maybe when we're out of this pandemic craziness, that's something I need to do.
Yeah, I know there's a water-based version in Cardiff Bay at the moment.
Fuck that, I don't want to get wet. No one
wants water anyway.
Yeah, no one wants to see that. Like, my shirt's going to go all see-through and stuff. Nobody needs that. Fuck me. Just give me the ball pit and inflatable slides and, like, punching bags. Like, fine. Give me all of that shit. But, yeah, so I kind of... the Funhouse was the most evolved version of that, wasn't it? And I would always be looking at it going like, I want to do this show. And as a kid, I remember thinking the prizes were fucking awesome as well. And now watching it as an adult, that shows you just how much of a fucking geek I was as a kid. Because the prizes are like a scientific calculator, a solar-powered ruler, and like all the kind of shit that like are the worst Christmas presents, where you get them and you're like, all right, I can't play with that.
Yeah, thanks very much. Next.
Yeah, but like, yeah, you don't want it for Christmas, but like, I absolutely would have loved a solar-powered calculator ruler as a kid. Like, I would have loved a fucking electronic set. I would have loved a microscope. All of these, like, but they were all like stupid. Now and again, it was like, here's a fucking record player. Here's a fucking. Then randomly, here's a mystery trip for two. Like, hang on, I'm 10.
Yeah, I'm not taking the misses, am I?
Yeah. What the fuck is this? Like, you know.
I mean, towards the end as well. The consolation prizes got better towards the end as well.
Yeah, well, it started off. You literally did have the Funhouse ruler in the first one that I watched. Then later it became the rucksacks. I very specifically remember it being the rucksacks, and then they started opening the rucksacks because I remember the first year or so they were doing that. I'd be like, "Fuck's in the rucksack then?" Because Pat Sharp keeps saying it's full of really cool stuff. So
full of goodies,
rucksack. And they open it up and it's like a fucking baseball cap and a t-shirt. And it's actually a bunch of shit. But still it shows that you went on Funhouse.
Yeah, it's all branded shit that you can't buy.
Better than a fucking Blue Peter badge, innit?
Well,
Although
exactly.
Blue Peter badge gets you more. Do you still get discounts and shit for having a Blue Peter badge?
I don't know. I never had one.
Well, neither did I. I think we've had this discussion before.
My brother had one.
And one of our friends has one as well, which blew my fucking hair back when I found out. It's like,
Yeah.
I know someone with a Blue Peter badge, and it's like that's celebrity status.
I think you still get something for it. I don't think it's as good as it
definitely
was.
used to be. Like if you had a Blue Peter badge,
Like you go to museums and shit, and
you just wander in.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just flash your fucking Blue Peter badge, and they're like, "Oh, that's all right. He's one of them. Let him in. He's one of the fucking BBC Illuminati," and he goes.
Yeah.
Where the fuck was that? Yeah, it's Funhouse bags. So it's not. Yeah, so it's not like that. It's just a bunch of fucking tat. Whereas the actual Funhouse prizes were like, they were awesome. I loved them, and it was the fact that you got to kind of. They showed you where the prizes. You never knew where the power prize was, but they showed you what prizes were in what games. So I remember watching it as a kid. I'd be like, right, well, I want that one, and that. So I kind of planned my route through the Funhouse, and I know where to go. And I was still doing that, watching it this time. I was like, right, I want the computer games. I want the MIDI hi-fi system. So and then like the kids are running through, and I'm like, no, don't go up the steps, you donkey. Fucking hell, go that way. You're missing the record player. What are you doing? Yeah, I was getting quite agitated watching this. I'll be honest.
It is quite interesting. As I was watching it, so I watched maybe half a dozen over the course of 2 days. But I was the same. I was like, no, don't go that way. You don't want that one. Come back to stairs. You want that prize. You want that over there. Go and hit that one instead.
And every single episode that I watched, and I do remember this as a kid as well, because it used to piss me off as a kid, but now I just give him a bit of a mark of respect, I think. Every single fucking one, as soon as the horn goes and they have to come out, every single fucking kid grabs an extra fucking prize.
Yeah.
Every time on the way down.
Well, it's just amazing, isn't it? So you're out of time, the fans go off, you're still grabbing shit as it's landing, and you're shoving it in your tracksuit. It's the same principle, isn't it?
They're like, oh, I got to go down the slide anyway. I'm just going to grab the fucking tag on the way. They never got penalised for that.
No.
Like, it's not fair. That's not fair.
It's like not cricket, but then again, the prize was there. They'd already spent the money, so fuck it, why not?
Oh, look, I'd fucking do it now. But as a kid, again, the fucking geeky me was like, hang on, you're not following the rules.
Yeah, you can't have that when you're cheating.
Very specific rules that you have to follow, and you're not doing it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think now I'd be going, yeah, good on, no, grab an extra one, nobody cares. Yeah, but at the time, I'd be going, no, you can't have that. You can't have that blue one because you didn't get it in time.
Yeah, exactly. It's not yours. Doesn't matter. You should roll over to next week or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, I love the prizes, and there's something watching them now. Watching shows from 1989 now and seeing what passed for a prize for kids in 1989 is fucking hilarious. And it is stuff today that if you gave a kid a fucking solar powered calculator ruler today,
they'd be like, your ass.
Well, they'd be like, A, why do I need a calculator when I've got my phone? Yeah. B, what solar power?
Well, in this country, what's the fucking sun?
Because that was a flash in the fucking pan, wasn't it? Solar powered everything. Unless you've got panels on your roof now. But back in our day, you had solar powered watches, solar powered calculators, solar powered radios, solar powered fucking everything. Yeah. That went away. And then they'd be like, see, what's a fucking ruler and why do I need one? Because everything's going to be on a computer anyway. So,
exactly.
It's the most useless thing you could give a kid today.
Yeah. But it's fairly eponymous with the 80s, though, isn't it? The shit prizes.
Definitely.
Think of fucking blankety blank. We'll give you a checkbook that's not linked to a bank account. So what's the fucking point?
Yeah, blankety blank checkbook and pen. I never quite understood that either.
Yeah. What is the point? Because you can't use the fucking checks.
Well, the gag is that it's a blankety blank check.
Yeah, but still, in terms of prizes, what the fuck?
And isn't I think the idea is it's a checkbook, so it's like the cover. So your actual checkbook goes inside the blankety blank.
I think they did have blank checks.
Oh yeah, they would have, because they're blankety blank checks. But the idea is you take those checks out, put your checkbook in, and then
fuck that. That's max of effort. Fuck that.
Yeah, but then when you go to the fucking shop or whatever, you just write a check for every opportunity because then you get to whip out your big game show dick and put it on the counter, don't you? Like, oh, excuse me, let me just get out my blankety blank checkbook. And by the way, look at my Blue Peter badge as I pull it out from my top pocket. It's that, isn't it? Oh, sorry, are you staring at my Funhouse cap as well? Yes, I am a quiz show expert. It's that, and the pen was just a fucking Parker pen, I think, wasn't it? It wasn't anything special. But
I don't think it was even that good.
I mean, of all the shit
printed biros.
Of all the shit game show prizes, if you're gonna have anything, you need a bully, right? I mean, that's got to be universally accepted to be the best shit prize.
Yeah, it's worth fuck all, but yeah,
it's a bully, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, again, I think you go around someone's house and they have an actual bully, not one of the knockoff ones you could buy everywhere in the early 2000s when, again, Bullseye became ironic.
Yeah.
But you go around somebody's house and there's a bully, you're like, fair play. We won Bullseye. That's pretty fucking cool. Respect. You know, nobody's saying that about the fucking Funhouse backpack, and certainly not the Funhouse solar-powered calculator ruler. It's just it is the most 80s thing. But there was entertainment value in watching those fucking prizes for sure. The Funhouse Grand Prix, which I remember being the coolest thing ever, is shit as fucking.
What a crock! Absolute fucking rubbish.
Rubbish.
I've been reading about it today because the first ones I watched so I watched a couple of old ones, a couple of new ones, and the newer ones they changed it so you weren't collecting it. You had to push a button.
I remember this. I remember pushing the buttons. Yeah,
they changed it about season 5, I think it was.
Yeah, I remember.
And it was the number of people who just drive past it and then stop and go, oh fuck, I can't reach. So apologies, I pulled my headphones out as well. So sorry for that. But yeah, so even to the point where Pat Sharp said, look, I know you had a rehearsal this morning. The bit before the first episode I watched, it was really fucking meta. He's like, I know you had a rehearsal before the show this morning, but when you drive it, don't stop by the button and push it. Try and hit it as you pass. And he's telling them because they were fucking it up in the morning. It's like, seriously?
Jesus.
No, it got to that point. But yeah, and then they had all the fancy board with the lights. So how many did he score? So he pushes a button and it lights up the number of fucking 10s and 25s they got. And so because originally you had to pull them off a hook, didn't you?
You put the tokens in the box. Yeah, the twins counted them up in the box.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So they changed that, and they made a couple of changes throughout the years. They changed the Grand Prix. They added a third lap to make the third lap just a flying lap. So if you're behind, you can knock the other one off the fucking road and beat them.
That's a good idea because actually, like every episode, pretty much, if you're behind going into Grand Prix, you do not need to win the Grand Prix. In fact, the worst thing you could do is win the Grand Prix. What you need to do is pick up every fucking token, because it will absolutely rocket you into the lead if you get all of those tokens.
Well,
so putting the third lap in is a much better idea.
Yeah, so I mean, by the time you got the time you had to push the button things, you had the first lap you had to hit the button with 10, and there were 4 of those. And the second lap at the 25, just 4 of those. And the third lap is just don't hit anything, just fucking get around it as quick as you can. And then so you got points for finishing first, but then you got points based on what you hit as well. And that's the one I saw. They won in the third lap by like a fucking gnat's ass hair. It was that close. I don't know how they actually judged who finished first because it was that fucking tight. Wow. And then when they did the adding up, there was like 4 points between them at the start of the race. So the ones who were in the lead by 4 points, they missed one of the 25s, and the other ones had everything. So they just fucking completely blitzed it off that last round.
Basically, every single game is pointless. The whole show is won or lost on the Funhouse Grand Prix. And that's all we care about as well. The games are literally, as you said, and they're always a variation on pick some shit up and sort it into a bucket.
Yeah.
Pick some shit up and carry it down your pants, and dress up stupid. They're always a variation on that.
Yeah, basically. I mean, there was one where they were dressed as penguins and they had to come down the slide and pick up fish in from a gunge pool. There was another one, they were in a swimming pool and they had to get the 2 girls were dressed as mermaids, the 2 boys were in fucking grass skirts and coconut bikini tops, which obviously you wouldn't be allowed to do now because somebody get offended. And then the girls had to pick up garlands, swim through the water, put them around the boy's neck, and then go get another one. They were counted up at the end. But it was always that sort of thing. It's how many can you get in a minute? Yeah. And however you dress it up, however whatever you make the game, the point is get as many as you can in that box. Yeah. And that's it. Yeah. So you'd have those games of skill, then you get the quiz element. Yeah. Because remember, it's a quiz and it's a race. Yes. And it's a real wacky place. But you add the quiz element after every game, and you get one quiz question, which are just honestly the fucking easiest questions. Yeah. And yet these thick fucking kids, still these kids are the thickest of them. That's kind of the criteria, isn't it? They're the fucking Borstal candidates.
Do you know what I don't understand though? Is like these kids, maybe it get better in the later seasons. I doubt it did, but all the ones I watched, like these kids, before they appear on Funhouse, there would have been some sort of search gone out. People would have had to apply. These kids would have been interviewed. These kids probably would have had some form of audition. They'd have got time to have familiarized themselves with the show and the format and Pat Sharp and the twins. And yet every single one of them corpses the second the cameras, and like Pat Sharp's feeding them stuff like, what it says on my card here that you've got a funny nickname, or it says on my card here that you like dogs, or whatever it is. And they cut to the kid, and the kid just goes, yeah. And that's it. And again, like, credit to Pat Sharp, he'll work with it. So he's like, right, well, all right, then if you're not going to play, I'm going to take the piss out of you. And so he does. And he turns it around, he gets a laugh out of it. But that is so fucking difficult. It's like pulling teeth trying to talk to these kids.
Yeah, the first one I watched, there's a school from Manchester and a school from like Hertfordshire or something. The kids from Manchester, it was right at the time where Man United started winning everything, having won fuck all for about 30 years. All of a sudden, they won the league like 3 years in a row or 4 years in a row. They won the FA Cup a couple of years in a row. All of a sudden, they were into everything. And he asked these kids about football because they both said they were football fans. And he's like, well, what team do you support? United. Is that just since they started winning stuff? No, my whole life. It's like, you're fucking 12. Your whole life is since they've started winning everything.
I've supported them my whole life, yeah.
It's that sort of thing. It's like, when you were sperm, that's when they started winning stuff.
Yeah, it's hard work, those kids, seriously.
But it's working with kids, isn't it? And especially, I mean, you're not looking at kids who want to be actors or want to be performers. You're talking kids who are fucking pissing a corner away from going to jail half the time.
But like I said, they must have been weeded out. These are like the best of the best. And I look back at it now thinking, like, do you know what?
Or is it some sort of incentive to make them behave? So if you behave, we'll put you in the pot.
Maybe. But for me, I look back now and go, I could have been on this. Like,
to me, it's the Kleinerman kid from down the street. It's fucking, it's special ed time.
Yeah, definitely. Whereas like I just look at it going like, look, I know the answers to all the questions. All right, I was a fat kid, but this isn't particularly physically demanding.
Well, this is it. You think, right, okay, well, we'll pick. No, we'll get. You go out, a boy and a girl from each school, right? So you say, right, we'll pick. The girl who's the best in all the fucking academic stuff. The boy who's the best at all the sports. Yes, okay, they'll have to do a bit of crossing over, but you can kind of tip it. You can kind of tip it to your advantage and say, right, we'll have the fucking kid who's played for Wales at rugby, at under 11s. We'll have the girl who's fucking taking 4 GCSEs by the time she's 9. We can do all that shit because it's not cheating. Nobody says we can't. Nobody says we have to take the thick cunts. We just do.
No, and yet then they get asked questions that are so fucking simple and they get them wrong.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what the questions were I saw earlier because they were ridiculously easy.
Yeah, it's stupid and they still fucking get. But anyway, whatever. It's not it's not pretending to be Blockbusters, is it? Let's be fair. It's it's.
Oh, to be fair, I would have quite fancied that as well.
What, Blockbusters?
Yeah.
You reckon you could have to go?
I was fucking awesome at that.
Yeah, probably wasn't bad. I've got the Blockbusters game upstairs still. Probably all of the questions are now out of date though.
That's the problem. I mean, we used to have a quiz book, and it was fucking it was one of those. Like we unfortunately we were dragged to church as kids. So and like the church after we finished, because my grandparents used to take us because my parents weren't that fucking stupid. So they'd be as old people do when they come out of church. The service would be an hour, and it'd take another hour to get out the fucking door because they wanted to talk to everybody. So we'd be in the fucking little chapel where all the games and shit were, and we'd be on that. And yeah, the stuff in the book, like now, it would be shit because it'd be all out of date. But I always thought, you know what? If that's the level of fucking question, I'm watching it on TV as well. You got a couple of difficult ones, but they were never any you were fucking. I don't know that. How was anyone supposed to know that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess when you say that, I certainly remember I was not bad at Blockbusters, and when you consider it, like I would have been watching it probably when I was about 10 or 11.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be for like college and university students.
Exactly.
Then I guess you're right. It probably was quite easy, but not as easy as literally sliding down a slide and holding your hand out to catch a tag. Yeah. Like this isn't.
Although that does sound like you need some sort of manual dexterity, so I'd have been fucked.
Yeah, I mean, you could just stop yourself on the slide, couldn't you? You could literally just put your feet down.
To be fair, I was as wide as I was tall. I thought you could fucking stop on the slide anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
wedge myself in.
The only game that looks even remotely difficult in the Funhouse part of Funhouse, which seems to be the one that catches everybody out because they leave it till the end, is the Gold Rush bit where you have to run up to the top left and pull those fucking drawers open, and it's full of like gold confetti.
Yeah,
and like nobody seems to be able to find the fucking prize tag in amongst that. So it's just gold confetti, guys. Just rip them all open and dump it out. Like,
yeah.
What?
But I mean, I think that became a bit of an urban legend there, so people would always avoid that. And in my head, I was thinking, well, do that first, because it's a double-edged sword. You either do it first and you get it, but then you risk wasting so much time and not getting the rest of it, or you ignore it and say, well, fuck it, we'll do all the other stuff and we'll do that if we've got time.
Which seems to be the general, like everybody leaves it till the end. Nobody manages to get the fucking prize out of it. And inevitably it was always the best fucking prize as well. So like, you know.
Yeah, it's like they knew nobody was going to go for it, so they put the good one there.
Yeah, put the expensive stuff up there.
Because then you can carry that over till next week and no fucker will know.
Yeah, put the fucking trip to Europe up in that. I get like all the like stupid prizes. Here's a fucking skiing trip. Here's a mystery tour. It's like, what the fuck are kids going to do with this? Honestly.
Yeah, I'm going to say, Mum, I'm going to go on this Orient Express ride across Europe with my mum.
Well,
don't get me wrong, I like my mum, but fucking, I wouldn't want to go on holiday with her in that circumstance at that age.
I was going to say, especially in that age. I mean, I was wondering as well, like whenever these trips for 2 came up, is that the 2 contestants, or is that a trip for 4 because it's the 2 contestants plus
and a chaperone?
I mean, you got to assume there's a chaperone, but it's
exactly.
What are the fucking rules here? Like, explain this. I need to know. And they never tell you where the mystery tour is either. They win the fucking mystery tour.
Yeah, you think they tell you right at the start, right? One of the prizes is a mystery tour. Yeah. And then when you get it, they tell you where the fuck you go.
What it is. Yeah, exactly. Because otherwise, I mean, it could be shit, couldn't it? Your mystery tour could be, right, now we're going to show you around the studio. Lucky.
Well, let's be fair. At least it was on ITV. If it was BBC, they'd be a trip to fucking Jimmy Savile's house.
Yeah, I mean, let's leave that one there, shall we?
Well, it did start in the 80s.
I mean, Savile was old news by this point, not in terms of his, touchy-feely paedophilia, but he wasn't really.
Yeah, like Jim will fix it. Jim will fix it was on to like 93, 94.
Was it really?
Yeah.
It
was kind of a fucking parody of itself by then, but it still gave him access to lots of people.
I thought it finished way before then, because like Noel Edmonds had started giving shit out by this point, didn't he? So
yeah, Savile was still around.
Shame.
Yeah.
Fucking let's not go down that fucking path, shall we? Let's just leave Jimmy Savile alone. Don't want to touch him with a barge pole.
He's dead anyway, so you wouldn't feel it.
Okay.
This is not Baby Shark.
Fuck off. For those of you that didn't listen to last week's episode, for context, maybe go and listen to that. Mark's
maybe watch the YouTube version.
Yeah, Mark's just done it to me again now, you wanker.
This may be a theme.
You better fucking not be.
So I'll have forgotten by next week.
This show's fucking hard enough with the theme tunes that I have to deal with when I'm doing the edit, without you putting other fucking earworms in there to contend with them as well. And actually, this one's one of the worst.
It's one of the, I normally remember theme tunes, but I usually struggle with some of the words. This one, I was like, no, I can hear it, I can see it. It's all fucking
every single fucking word before we'd even started rewatching it. I don't honestly, you could ask me on my deathbed to sing the Funhouse theme, and I could probably do it, voices and all. Like it just never goes anywhere, does it? And you can't sing it without doing the voices. You can't.
You can't. Absolutely not.
You have to put the voice on when you do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, as theme tunes go, we
actually talking about that. I sent you a link last week to an album of punk rock covers of kids TV, and that the Funhouse one's on there, and even they do the fucking voices at like 90 mile an hour.
You have to.
You can't not.
No. Yeah. So I mean, maybe we'll drop that in the show notes as well for those.
I'll put a link. It's a. Well, we've talked about doing a theme tune episode for a while, and lots of the stuff we've talked about is on there.
Yeah. It is. So yeah, if you're interested in theme tunes at all, you should definitely go and check that out. We'll put
it's Punk Rock Factory. They're a local outfit actually.
Are they?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think the Bridgend area.
Oh, okay, cool. So yeah, check them out. They're on Spotify, so check them out.
Yeah, Spotify, Apple, Google, they're everywhere. They've just released their 3rd album, which is basically kids TV show covers.
Yeah, they do a Disney covers album as well. But yeah, if you're listening to this show, then the theme
right up your street.
Is right up your street. Yeah, I mean, variable levels of success with these covers, I would say.
Yeah, some are pretty good. Some not. Some aren't brilliant, but
some lend themselves to being. I mean, some are punk rock in style anyway. Is the problem? So you may as well just listen to the original.
But there are some that work quite well.
Yeah, as I say, Funhouse being one of them, so that's on there. As themes go, I mean, this one is up there just because it's not particularly good. It's just a fucking earworm. Once it's in there, it's not going anywhere. And it's very game show. Like it is your quintessential game show theme tune.
But but it's, I say, it's more than that. It's a kids game show because it's higher energy. You think of, you go back to sort of game shows from the 80s and 90s. Fucking things like Price is Right, Wheel of Fortune, Blankety Blank, we talked about already. With the exception of possibly Going for Gold, which is just fucking insane. The kids quiz show theme tunes seem to be a lot more energetic.
I've got Going for Gold theme in my head now.
Sorry, I didn't do that on purpose. Sorry, but it's that type of thing. It is the kids quiz shows tended to be a bit more up tempo, and this is kind of the pinnacle of that. It's just fucking balls
it's
up.
Definitely the pinnacle, and I'll tell you for why. Is I've rattled off a load of kids game shows to you earlier on like this, right?
Yeah.
Now, short of this, Blockbusters and Whizbit, I don't think I can remember the themes to any of them.
I'm struggling with Whizbit, I gotta be honest.
Oh, you know Whizbit. Ha ha, this away. Ha ha, that away. Ha ha, this away. My, oh my. Yeah, like that's fucking bollocks. That's another one done to me now.
No, you did that yourself. I was happy to move on.
You asked, so I had to give you the Whizbit theme. Sorry, listeners, if you now have the Whizbit theme in your head, but that one is a real fucking earworm. Probably.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't. In my head, I didn't connect that tune with Whizbit, but yeah.
Yeah, so other than and Blockbusters, obviously, because everybody knows Blockbusters. Probably, I'd argue it's up there with like Grange Hill as one of the most famous themes in history. I would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, the rest of them couldn't tell you what the theme to Finds Keepers was like. Couldn't tell you what the theme to the movie thing was like. Couldn't tell you what the theme to Get Your Own Back was. None of these. No fucking idea.
No.
But I fucking know. Like I said before we even started watching this, if you'd have just stopped me randomly on the street and gone, here's £100. How does the Funhouse theme go? I could sing every word to you immediately, without thinking. I could just blurt it out. So that says a lot for it. Now maybe that's just because I watched it so fucking much. But I think it's also because the theme is actually really good. Yes, it's lift music-y because it's a fucking game show theme, but it does what it needs to do.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't started watching this at the weekend or last week, whenever it was, when I sent you that link. But I had the album on in the car, and I just started singing along with most of the tracks on it, including this one. And Tori said, "How do you know all these fucking words?" It's like, because I grew up on this shit. This was like, this is what I did. She like swam and played golf and did fucking activities and stuff. I watched TV.
She had a misspent childhood. That's the thing, because my instant response to that would be, how do you not know these words?
I reserve that for stupid shit she should know. No, I don't necessarily expect her to remember theme tunes and stuff. I would expect her to remember the Twins, for example, or remember Pat Sharp. If I asked her about Pat Sharp, I'd ask her about Funhouse. I'd expect her to at least know that Pat Sharp hosted it and there were twins on it. That's stuff I would expect her to know. I wouldn't necessarily expect her to remember the theme.
I think most people would know the theme as well, though. But yeah, you would. I think anybody of our age, if you said Funhouse, straight away you're going to get the Twins, Pat Sharp, Funhouse Grand Prix. Everybody knows that. I think. And the time this was on as well. This was always on a Friday afternoon. Yeah. So what else?
It was the last one, wasn't it, on ITV on the Friday?
Yep. What else were you doing? You were having your dinner. It was the weekend. You'd finished school. Like, of course, you had fucking TV on. Even if you were going out, you were still at home having your dinner first before you went out. So
because this would have been like fucking half 4, something like that. Wouldn't it?
Everybody watched Funhouse. It would have been like 4:30, 5 o'clock, something like that before the fucking.
I think ITV finished at 5:10, so it would have been about 4, 4:45.
Yeah, it was always the last thing on a fucking Friday afternoon. I remember that much about it as well. I remember a surprising amount about this show. And like when we talked about doing it, we said, we won't have to rewatch many of them because, it's a game show. It's not like there's a big narrative that we've got to talk about or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? But still, it was interesting going back and watching it and seeing, despite the fact that I thought I remembered it very well, again, how much that view has changed over time. My perception of Pat Sharp was I find I was actually right as a kid, is what I'm saying. And, when I've gone back and realized actually it'd been unfair to him in my adult life, because he is actually very, very good. And I subconsciously realized that as a kid, I think, is the thing. That is, again, I'm going to keep banging on about that. He really fucking surprised me. That is the takeaway from me of this, is that Pat Sharp's actually a really fucking good TV presenter. So I got to give him his props there. And
no, that's fair enough. I mean, as I say, he annoyed me this time around, but I think it's just because I don't watch that much. There's not that much now. I mean, there are some examples, but there aren't that many shows of this ilk anymore. And even the ones there are, my two aren't really interested. So I don't see that much of it. So I don't see how that presenter role has evolved, and if there is this massive condescension now, or whether they are any better than they used to be. So it just kind of, as soon as I put it on, I was like, yeah, you know what, I can't be fucking bothered with him. I just want to see the gunge. I want to see the race. I want to see the funhouse.
You want to see the gunge. I think that's why most of us tuned in. Yeah, we wanted to see gunge.
But yeah, so I mean that was that was one of my takeaways. I mean, the other thing I've got to talk about. Well, there's two things I've got to talk about that I didn't.
We do need to talk about both of them. So, are you a Melanie or a Martina?
I was always a Melanie.
Yeah, me too. Right.
I don't know why. I have no idea why.
She's just more attractive.
I think she was like half an inch taller.
I mean, neither of them are unattractive. Don't get me wrong. But
yeah. But so those were one of the two things. I was taking them as a single entity because the twins were the twins. They weren't individuals. They weren't people.
Well, no, one was yellow, one was red.
Yeah. One thing I didn't realize with them is they were in Batman. In Tim Burton's Batman.
Yes, they were.
I did not know that.
Yeah, they've actually done quite a lot. They've actually released an album as well. I remember.
I was going to say it was apparent. I'm going to go and find it after we finish recording. I've only just read it as I was waiting for you to come on.
Take my advice. Don't.
I'll listen to it ironically.
Remember them as they were, Mark.
Well, if they've got music videos, maybe I'll watch them on mute.
Yeah, that works.
Although slightly seedy. Possibly. But yeah, I hadn't realized they did that. Apparently this album was massive in Japan.
I mean, it's Japan.
Yeah. So yeah, but it's on iTunes, it's available on Amazon. So I may have a look at it if I'm particularly bored. Maybe it'll put me to sleep. Something needs to.
I was going to say, just speaking about the twins, I didn't do much research on Funhouse at all because I didn't need to. But I did just come on, because I had to. I did Google Funhouse Twins. I didn't know what I was going to find, so I thought it was worth a look. They now rent themselves out for parties. That, as I said,
sounds so wrong.
That's the second time in 2 weeks I've said something, and as the words have left my mouth, I've gone, I should word that better. I didn't mean it like that. I have the utmost respect for these ladies.
They do personal appearances, is what you mean.
That's what I meant. They do personal appearances.
Not orgies.
Yeah, they don't literally rent themselves out.
They say, well, no, maybe you're going on a bender. Well, I'll rent a kidney for a weekend.
You could. I mean, there's no prices on the website, but you can contact them and you can hire the Funhouse Twins for your corporate event or party. I mean, the way it reads on the website is you can literally just phone them and go, look, I'm out on the piss. I really fancy having the Funhouse Twins out with me to impress the lads.
Yeah, we'll buy you beer all night.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying this like they're working for food. Like they clearly, like this is a legit business venture.
Yeah, they seem to be doing all right. I mean, I did look them up, not in terms of what they're up to, just in terms of how well they've aged.
Pretty well.
Better than us.
Well, yeah, to be fair. I mean, they are only about 10 years older than us. There's not much in it. Yes. They were like super young when they started. They were like 16 or 17 or something.
I think, it was 16, 17 when it started. There's not much between us. But they've aged considerably better than us.
I mean, most things, like cheese ages better than me.
I mean, the other thing I was going to say, they've done lots of appearances on TV as themselves and also as actors. They were also in Monty Python's Meaning of Life.
What? Eh?
They were the choir that does the children's choir that sings "In Every Sperm Is Sacred." They were in that.
They must have been like 5 or 6 or something.
Well, that was 83, so they'd been like 10, 11 at that point.
Oh, I guess. Yeah. Probably would have been.
Yeah, but they were in the kids' choir that sang "Every Sperm Is Sacred."
I mean, they've done quite a lot. Like
quite a lot of stage stuff as well, like proper stuff as well as Panda.
We will forever know them as
Funhouse.
From Funhouse.
Oh, absolutely.
But they've actually got like seriously legit careers.
Yeah, they've done proper stuff.
Yeah.
So so that was something I hadn't realized how much they'd done. I certainly didn't realize they were in Batman. And the other thing I didn't realize, or I may have known and forgotten, like we were talking about it earlier about some adult soft plays and stuff. There was an adult version of this show was actually did a pilot featuring Carol Smiley, but they didn't go anywhere with it.
Carol Smiley is the presenter.
No, contestant.
All right.
On the pilot, she was one of the contestants. but it was never broadcast. It was named on a BBC program called TV's Finest Failures. It was like really high up on the list of this project that they were going to do an adult version of, and they just binned it off after pilot.
Isn't an adult version of this just basically Takeshi's Castle? Or
yeah, but I mean, you're talking.
What's the shit one that came after Takeshi's Castle over here? Was it Wipeout, whatever it was?
That was, yeah. I mean, that was more. There was an element of skill involved. Like Takeshi's Castle was just not get twatted in the face. Whereas Wipeout had a little bit more about it than that. But yeah, that sort of thing. But this would have used the Funhouse set and just had adults running through it instead, which wouldn't have been anywhere near as interesting, to be honest.
Well, no.
Unless they pissed up first.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, one thing they did on Wipeout, to be fair, actually, in later seasons, they had one of the obstacle courses. They had a really fucking mad roundabout at the start where you were on there for 45 seconds, and it just blasted you around as fast as it could, and then it let you off, and it was like walking out the fucking pub.
I mean, see, this is the thing, yeah, because to the kids, like the Funhouse is scaled appropriately, and like it's not dangerous or anything, but there's like you got to go through the ball pool, you got to get through the punching bags and stuff like that. So there is an element of, it's not skill, but there is an element of, I don't know, resistance, I guess, to get you through that Funhouse. Whereas as an adult, you can just blitz through it. So you've got to up the danger level as an adult.
Yeah, you'd have to make it bigger. You'd have to make things harder. You'd have to make things more difficult. No, you have to make things more difficult to do. But also you'd have to make it proportionate to the type of people you're getting on there. Because again, it's not like fucking Gladiators, is it?
No, absolutely not.
This is going to be like, it's going to be the obstacle course that your mate makes in his fucking garden when you're all going around for afternoon on the beer. Because it'll be funny.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's like fucking have turn chairs and fucking things like that.
I mean, the audience for an adult version of Funhouse, let's be honest, is let's get an inflatable version of Funhouse that you tour around student campuses.
Yeah.
That's your audience for an adult version of Funhouse. Or, like you told me about earlier on, there's a giant adult soft play somewhere in Cardiff. Like, I want that. I will go to that, absolutely. But I need to be pissed up first. So just putting it on the telly is it's not entertaining to watch adults do it. As an adult, I'm quite happy just watching kids do it. It suits kids. It's still fun watching the kids do the Funhouse run and stuff like that. It doesn't have to be adults. Just watch the kids.
I think, to be fair, that was probably the one thing I did take away from more than anything else, is that even though they were thick as fuck, everybody on there was having a fucking blast.
Oh, they're having a brilliant time. Pat Sharp included. He's clearly enjoying himself. It's not like, again, the temptation is there, or if, put it like this, if he's not, he hides it really well, because the temptation, again, is to just be really fucking bitter about this and just be like, these fucking kids, like, you're so fucking thick. What is wrong with you? Do you know what I mean? But he's not. He's clearly enjoying himself.
I mean, to me, I would love to see Jack D do something like this, just to watch his head explode.
I mean, it's a completely different energy in it. That is just like, no, you thick cunt. Yeah. Why did you say that?
Fucking stupid.
Yeah, like it's completely.
The opposite of dog isn't bird. You dickhead.
Yeah.
Go fucking sit over there and think about what you've done.
Yeah, you'd have the kids in tears within about 10 seconds.
See, that I'd pay to see.
I mean, look, I'm not saying there's not an audience for that, but that's not what this is, and I don't know if I want
what this is at all. No.
Yeah, I don't know if I want that, to be honest. I'm quite happy with what we got. I've actually really enjoyed rewatching the film, and I like it. I'm not gonna. This isn't like rewatching some of the shows we've talked about again, where they've got grand narrative arcs and stuff. Like once we're done with this show, it's not like I'm gonna go watch some more Funhouse,
well,
and I'm never gonna seek it out.
There's another 25 years can go by without me seeing it again. I've got to be honest.
Yeah, I'm never gonna seek it out again. But at the same time, like, if it's rerunning somewhere, like all the ones that are on YouTube are from Challenge TV, by the way, it is all available on YouTube, listeners. Obviously, normally we say pay for stuff, but it's not like Funhouse is available on fucking DVD. So just go and get it off YouTube.
I think isn't Challenge part of the UK TV set, so you can get it through subscription anyway.
I didn't even know if Challenge TV is still going. I'm not sure.
I think they still have an online presence because it's part of the same group that does like UK Gold and Dave and all that sort of stuff.
I didn't know that. So if that's the case, then maybe it's available for that. So you should definitely support that. But yeah, like if I'm flicking around the TV and Funhouse is on, I'll fucking sit and watch it, definitely. Or if I knew it was on, if there was reruns on now at X time on a Friday and I was doing nothing at that time, I'd put it on and watch it. I had a great time rewatching this for the like handful of episodes I watched. Didn't feel like a chore whatsoever. It washed over me. This is the thing.
But I think that the difference with this as well is that, I mean, as we've talked many times about my phenomenal multitasking, and this was the sort of thing I didn't have to give it my undivided attention.
No,
because it could be on while I was doing the fucking ironing. It could be not. No, Today I had it on. I was cooking, so I had it on my phone, which was sat on top of the microwave. I could hear it, I could see it when I looked over, but I didn't need to concentrate or pay attention because I could work out what was going on.
Well, it's very easy in it. You can not look at the screen. You can be doing whatever you need to do, and then you just hear the words "twins" or "Melanie and Martina," and you're like, "All right, I'll watch." Yeah.
And that's where the scoring comes from, so you know who's winning.
Yeah, exactly. And like Funhouse Grand Prix you watch, and the Funhouse you watch. That's it. The games, whatever.
Yeah, so I mean, it's one of those, and I think that's one of the things I benefited from because, as I say, we do because we go through so many shows. Got other things going on as well. So finding time to actually sit down. And if you've got something where you've got a narrative, even if you say, right, I'm not going to watch the whole run of it, but I might watch a dozen episodes. Mm-hmm. You've got to find the time to do that. Whereas this, you can say, well, fuck it. I shouldn't admit to this because it's probably the wrong thing to do. But while I'm working, I've normally got my iPad on in front of my monitor, so I can see my screen, I can see what I'm typing, I can see what I'm doing, but I'm also watching TV because that's how I fit these things in. I didn't need to do that with this.
No, you can just leave it there and it washes over you. It's really fucking good. It is really good. There's a reason it ran for fucking, what did you say, 10 years?
11 years, I think.
11 years. There's a reason it ran for 11 years, and that's because it worked. And because it's a game show, it can span generations as well. So, like, like we talked about with Grange Hill, like, we can age out of it, and the generation behind us will age in, and there'll be a constant flow, a constant crossover of that.
And the thing is, as well, I mean, there's a benefit, and we talked about it briefly earlier on, because of the way it's built, and it's the same. It's the reason why shows like X Factor sort of became popular over the last couple of decades, is that once you've built your set, you don't have to do anything else. You don't need to change it.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's so fucking cheap, actually.
So you could say, right, now we'll pick this up and we'll pick up, I don't know, 20 episodes a year, but we only need to build the set once and then leave it up for 6 months. And then we'll come and shoot another lot. It's not going to take up any room because we can. By the time we pack up all the inflatables, pack up all the moving parts, we can just leave the funhouse there and close the front of it like a fucking fairground ride. Yeah,
and now you say moving parts as well. Like, it's one thing I have noticed watching it as an adult is, as a kid, you see everything moving and it all looks like it's amazing. Like, it's this big fucking fairground ride. I noticed a hell of a lot of dodgy bits of rope being pulled. I'm not even joking. Like, you could see bits of rope trailing off screen with someone pulling them to make things open and close and like spin things, and like, this is people powered. A lot of this, quite clearly, you can see it. It's like a dodgy Star Trek set. Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm not knocking them for it. I'm just saying, as a kid in the 80s, I didn't notice this.
Yeah, you wouldn't notice and you wouldn't care. And it's the sort of thing you notice now and you go, oh, fair play.
Yeah, you fooled me. All right, yeah.
And to be honest, if the contestants were being dicks, you could just say, well, fuck it, I'm not going to pull it. I'm going to pull it slightly too late so you run into it and fucking hurt yourself.
This is the thing. I genuinely thought that a few times. Just like, if that kid's an arsehole.
Just
like,
don't open that door all the way.
Yeah.
Just let him run into it.
You could just twat him, couldn't you?
Yeah. Or let it go so it closes as he gets there.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's surprising how much of it was actually manual, people-powered.
Yeah. But again, you could just literally just push it to the back of a lot and say, right, we'll store it here for 6 months until we get the next lot in.
Oh, it folds flat. It's bound to.
But you wouldn't even want to do that. You say, well, fuck it. If we know we're coming back in 6 months, we'll just leave it up.
Leave it up. Yeah. That's it. Put it if you need to.
Yeah, exactly. And it's that type of thing. And that the quality is a part of it. But certainly that type of thing adds to longevity as well, because you don't have to keep building new sets every week, or you don't have to keep changing anything. I mean, that was one thing they did with Grange Hill. So they bought premises. So they had old schools, they had old studio buildings where they took the offices and they converted. So they did all of that, but then they had a permanent set so they could keep on building stuff. And you look at soaps. I don't watch soaps, but you do see on the news that they've the Coronation Street set. They've closed that off now because they had the bit where they built half a dozen houses in the street and all the rest of it. They've now moved into a purpose-built lot whereby they constantly film. This lot is there. Every house is there. Every shop, the pub is there. Everything they do externally, they do on location, and then you go inside, and it's literally a case of opening the door, and you're on set. And they never have to strip any of that. They never have to redecorate any of that. And if they're going to redecorate any of that, it's part of the story. Somebody's having the fucking all-stairs and landing done.
Yeah.
Well, and you just do it that way. And it adds to that longevity because you haven't got to keep on shelling money out. Whereas if you think, right, well, we're going to make, I don't know, look at some of the Netflix shows they make, or some of the Disney shows that have been made. You say, right, okay, we're going to make a half-hour show or a 20-minute show, but we need 3, 4, 5 different sets. We need locations. All of a sudden, all that adds up. It adds to the time, it adds to the production time, the production cost, and also the general quality, because you end up rushing to get stuff done.
Yeah.
Whereas if you haven't got to build anything, you say, well, fuck it, it's there now.
Yeah, it's just
Might
there.
have to go grease the wheels every couple of days, just make sure that when we are letting go of the rope, it does hit the kid really, really fucking hard in the head.
Yeah,
and that's it.
Then you wheel in like 3 lots of kids a day or whatever, and just smash your fucking show out.
Yeah, so, exactly.
Yeah, it's cheap, it's easy, and it's really entertaining. Like, so it's a winner, isn't it? It's an absolute winner. This show, I'm pleasantly surprised because, again, like, loved it as a kid, and I was thinking I'm going to go back and rewatch it. It's going to be cheesy and horrible, and it just wasn't any of those things. It was exactly what I remembered. I think.
Well, this
Pat
is
Sharp aside, it was well, no, even Pat Sharp was exactly as I remembered him. It's just in the interim, I had somehow thought he'd become annoying, and I was wrong.
Well, I found in the later episodes, I found it to be really smug, which I didn't like. But the earlier ones, I was saying I loved it as a kid, and I didn't. I think I had that same thing whereby, I say Keith Chegwin and I say Timmy Mallet, Pat Sharp, all those kind of kids entertainers from that period.
Yeah,
you kind of get in your head that actually they're complete fucking douche nozzles.
Yeah.
And when you go back to it, you think, I don't really know where I had that from. The later episodes, I did find him quite annoying, but that's probably more me than anything else. But the earlier ones, I was like, yeah, this is what I remember. This is what I wanted it to be. And similar to when we did Gladiators, it's very difficult to look back at this and go, well, that's a crock of shit.
Yeah.
Because, it is. I mean, nostalgia aside, there's enough about it where you go, I don't have to invest in this if I don't want to. So I can just get swept away in the fact that this week they're dressed like penguins. This week they're doing sumo wrestlers.
Yeah.
This week, somebody's a bee.
Yeah, and look, this is a very specific type of show. This is a light entertainment show. It's not. Yeah. You're not going to find, this great drama or anything like this in this. We're not looking at an ongoing narrative. We're not. Yeah. There's nothing, of any real cultural significance that we can gain from this. This is
apart from the hair.
Apart from the hair.
Really just date it early on.
Yeah. And some of the gender attitudes. But yeah. Other than that, some of the racial attitudes as well. But other than that, that just carbonates it. But it's just like
that makes them. I mean, it's not excusable, but that makes them a product of their time.
Yeah, and it's just light entertainment. There's nothing.
Yeah, it's not designed to make you think, is it?
No, we can't take. There's no great big deep dive that we can take into this, like we did with, for instance, Masters of the Universe over the course of 4 weeks. Excuse me, my light just fell straight on my head.
And that's why we don't mess around with moving things.
I didn't touch it. Like, I swear, there's a fucking poltergeist or something here. Jesus Christ. So for those of you listening, that would have just sounded like a humongous bang. For those of you on video, you probably would have just seen me dodge a flying light. I did mention to Mark, just before we record, I'm trying something new out with the lights here.
That's what I mean about moving stuff.
I'm not really happy with my lighting setup. So I did prefer this. Now I don't, because it's going to kill me. I thought you meant literally moving stuff there. I didn't touch it.
No, I meant moving stuff around between episodes.
Yeah. Thankfully, it's a very light ring light, so I got slightly walloped on the shoulder. What was I saying? Yeah, we're not going to get anything out of this like we did with Masters of the Universe over the course of 4 weeks. It's just Funhouse is what it is. It's wacky and outrageous and fun.
Yeah, and that's what you want from it, really, right? And I think part of the problem with the newer stuff, I mentioned Swashbuckle earlier, which is CBeebies version. So they wove a story into it. So there's a girl who was kidnapped by pirates, and she was brought up as a slave, and she's escaped, and now she's trying to steal their treasure. So they made a story out of it, and every week you get the same intro, and then different contestants trying to steal the treasure back. But over the course of a couple of years, they've introduced new things, whether they've changed characters. So all of a sudden it's not essential. If you pick up one episode, it doesn't matter that the captain is different or the cook is different. But they've tried to weave a narrative in that actually the reason for that one being replaced isn't because they're out of contract, isn't because as a kids TV presenter they got caught doing lines of coke. It's because actually that captain got overthrown in a mutiny, was left on an island, and every now and again they'll bring up that old captain because just for people who may be tuning in and out. So they've tried to keep some sort of consistency with it, and it doesn't really translate.
No, I mean, I think if you're going to do something like that, you do need to make a completely different show. Like Nightmare was able to do that. There were recurring characters on Nightmare who, yes, you had different contestants week to week, and the story was slightly different depending on who the contestants were and what their quest was and stuff like that. But you did have recurring characters that you got to know, and you can't really say they had through lines, but
No,
you understood who those characters were.
Yeah,
but that is a very different kind of show. Then that's not kids running around in gunge.
Well, yeah, exactly. And so that, I mean, that would no, that worked for that because there was a story being told as well.
Yes.
Whereas, I say, things like like Funhouse, like Finders Keepers, there's no story to it. It's literally you are in an obstacle course finding shit for prizes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you don't need anything else.
No, and you shouldn't have anything else. This needs to be what it is. This is, here's a bunch of prizes and obstacle course.
Yeah.
Go and have fun. And there's something, we've said this on the show before when we've been talking about some of the more light-hearted shows that we've done, especially the live action ones, things like Rent a Ghost. There's something about fun and the energy that's associated with it that translates through whatever medium that you're witnessing it in, whether that's a writer having fun with a script or with a comic, or whether that's a performer having fun with a part. If people are having fun, then it translates. And you can very much tell that, as we said just a few moments ago, everybody on this set is having a fucking blast.
Yeah.
And that's infectious. That comes through the screen, you know, and it makes it fun to watch. So,
and I think there's the part of the problem is that, I mean, I'm going to sound really fucking old saying this, but you look at, there aren't really any equivalents today. So there aren't, no, you get some, and like Netflix are putting out stuff for kids now where there are some game shows like Floor is Lava and stuff like that. But you don't tend to have it. And when you do have, or what you do have for kids now, everything has to mean something. Everything has to have some sort of denouement where you learn something. And whether it's a game show which is educational and like putting the fucking Math Olympics on and stuff like that, you don't necessarily need it. Sometimes you need just as kids, you just need to be able to know how to play yourself, because kids don't know how to fucking play these days. No. I look at my two, and if it's not on a screen, they don't understand it.
You're right. This does make you sound old.
Maybe because I am. But no, there's a very different way in which we play that. No, I mean, we've talked ourselves about. We had very different experiences as kids in terms of, like, because my brother was very athletic. I was always out playing football and stuff like that, because that's what we had to do. Because my brother was doing it, and he was the unofficial babysitter. We'd certainly at school holidays and stuff, we'd be staying with my grandparents, but we wouldn't be in all fucking day. No. We'd be out. We'd go out playing. We'd come home for dinner, go back out, and then come back in before the fucking streetlights came on. Otherwise, we got bollocked. Yeah. And then we did the same as the following day to make sure we were on 5 minutes earlier. So, but nowadays I wouldn't let my kids go and fucking play where we used to play football, because it's even though nothing has changed, it's just I wouldn't trust them with the traffic and shit like that. But also, if I said to my kids, right, okay, here's a football, go out and play for an hour. Within 10 minutes, they'd be back. They'd be sitting in the garden going, I'm bored. Yeah. And so the way the kids play and the way kids interact with things are different. So having a show like this, I mean, even when you do go to soft play and things, that they'll only do it for a certain amount of time. And you could say, right, we've got an hour's worth of stuff to do. You could literally go, right, that'll take you 5 minutes, that'll take you 5 minutes, that'll take you 10. Getting up there and getting it all around, that'll take you 10 minutes. The attention span isn't there, and the wonder isn't there, because they've seen all this on fucking YouTube. They've seen other kids doing this. They've watched videos of this. It doesn't mean anything to them. That's the thing, isn't it? As I say, for us, because soft play was something that we got to do very occasionally. Very rarely. It was usually special occasions. It was someone's birthday or a special meal with the family that you happened to go to one of these pubs that had soft play. So it was wondrous to us. And then to see that on TV every week was kind of your fix when you're not there. There was something wondrous about watching. It kept it interesting. Whereas, now kids today go to soft play all the fucking time because it's how the parents get together as well, isn't it? It's a great way to entertain the kids when you're hungover. Yeah, so it's just something they have ready access to. So seeing it on TV is not by any stretch wondrous to them. No, and then on top of that, you do get stuff on YouTube. You get people who will literally go and take a GoPro around a fucking soft play center. So, but I kind of want to watch that. Oh, you really don't, because they're all really fucking annoying. Oh, okay. If any parents watching, if I mention the name Blippi, I know Blippi. They'll start throwing things at me. He's all right. He looks very dapper in his suit and stuff. Oh, he's got a little bow tie on. I'm quite impressed by how well. Yes, he's annoying because he is pandering to children in the way the Pat Shop doesn't. But that's a very smart man. He knows his audience. He's built an empire. Yes, he has. Yeah, absolutely. But he's still a cunt.
as a very smart man. And some of his videos I found quite entertaining when he's teaching you how like diggers work and stuff like that. I've probably given myself away here. I've watched a little bit too much Blippi for a grown man.
Especially a grown man without children.
Well, no, right, okay. No, I don't have children of my own, but I have friends who have children, and I have godchildren. And yeah, like very specifically, a friend of mine,
And your godchildren, and most of your godchildren in their 20s now.
Two of them are. One of them is very young, and I
just
just happened to be around my friends, and he happened to be like just trying to keep his kid occupied, and Blippi was on. So I'm like, what the fuck is this? So we started watching Blippi. That was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. 6 o'clock, his wife comes home, and we're still watching Blippi. Like, what? Keeps the kids quiet. We were enjoying it. I came home and watched some of it. Like, I'm not going to make excuses. Like,
oh dear.
Yeah, not going to make excuses for it.
But I mean, coming back to my point, because there's so much of that, it's the same rant I have about older kids, who would rather watch people play games on videos of people playing games than play them themselves. It's just that thing where it's like, it doesn't fucking mean anything. And we're getting to that point where kids aren't going to really know what to do. By the time we get to possibly 2 generations down from us, kids aren't going to know what the fuck they're doing. They won't know what a fucking soft play is. They wouldn't understand what the point of Funhouse is.
No, I think we're already there now. I think if you show kids Funhouse today, they'd just be like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, why am I wasting half hour on this?
Yeah, I'd rather go and watch Blippi run around a soft play. I've not seen Blippi run around a soft play. This is something I need to do now.
Yeah, there's one where he almost gets stuck in the slide. Slide.
Blaming you for this as well now. Blaming you for this as well now. I'm going to go and watch fucking hour of Blippi by the time we're finished.
Just pointing out that Blippi is a cunt, and I do not advocate anybody watching him.
I'm putting it out there. I'm Team Blippi.
I'm Team shoot Blippi in the head.
I'm in support of Blippi. In small doses, like a couple of hours at a time, probably.
That's not small doses. Seconds is small doses.
Yeah, but it's a couple of hours at a time, and then like I won't watch it. This was like 2 years ago, probably, and I haven't really watched it since. I know more about Blippi than I do like Peppa Pig and shit like that. So that says something for Blippi. How did this become a Blippi podcast? Move on.
But no, I mean, talking about let's say the fact that kids don't aspire to stuff. You said earlier on the same. I wanted to go on Funhouse. I wanted to go on Gladiators. I'd never fucking been able to do Gladiators when I was younger. I couldn't do it now because I'm fat. But it's that sort of thing that you think, right, I could do that. I'd give that a go. Certainly, Funhouse finders keepers, all that sort of stuff. Nowadays, you don't get that.
No.
And you've got to wonder where they find the kids to actually go on the modern versions, because generally, they don't. Whether it's fucking stage schools and drama schools and shit like that, I don't know. But it just doesn't seem to be as organic, and the kids don't seem to be as, can I say, retarded?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, the kids don't seem to be as retarded now as they were.
It's going to offend some people, but I'm not going to stop you saying it. I genuinely wonder where they find the kids to go on fucking Funhouse back in the 80s, as I've said to you, because they are. I mean, I'm not going to use that word. That was all you. I'm just going to say they're thick as pig shit and dull as dishwater. Like,
they're dumber than hair is a phrase we should adopt.
Yes, they are dumber than hair, definitely. Just thick as pig shit. I don't know what they're doing. Like the questions are so easy, and they still get them wrong. And they're thick. Anyway, I don't think you get that with kids today. And I think you're right. I don't think they've got the attention span for it to remember where these things are and find them. And I also don't think, like, again, in the 80s, you could fob kids off with like, here's a stationery set.
Yeah.
Here's a ruler. Here's a calculator. Now it would have to be like, here's a brand new iPhone. Yeah. Here's a fucking Mac. Here's do you know what I mean? It would just be cost prohibitive now to do this thing today. The prices cost, even in 80s money.
Oh, you
average price
fucking job lot as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah, the average price pool on Funhouse was probably a couple of £100.
Yeah, for a season, you're probably talking what, $2,000. So here you go. There's everything. I mean, the later ones, one of the ones I saw, they did give it with fucking ghetto blasters away to the losing side. So I mean, at the time you'd probably be talking £100 each.
Yeah.
So even if you say, right, okay, well, even if you say your price profile on this show, it's $10,000 for the season. By the time you do, you make all your episodes, you do your editing, all the rest. So you're probably talking a season of a show that costs you what, $50,000?
Yeah, if that.
Fucking peanuts.
Probably 45 of that's Pat Sharp's salary.
And the other 5 is the Twins' hair and makeup.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, so no, it's that sort of thing. We think, right, okay, actually, yeah, we could do it. Whereas now you think, you're right, it would be, here's a tablet, here's a laptop, here's a fucking DSLR camera. Now, all this sort of stuff, which, what's a fucking 10-year-old need an iPhone for?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's a 40-year-old need an iPhone for? I'll tell you when I get there. But it's that type of thing. It's like, well, no, they would do it because they're status prizes.
Yeah,
as opposed
definitely.
to anything else.
And they'd have to, like, the kids would expect this.
Yeah, the kids wouldn't go on it. If you give the kids a fucking Funhouse goodie bag, it's going at Pat Sharp's arse.
Yeah, completely. I mean, it's also, if nothing else these days, and we can both say this having relatively good knowledge of such things, it's a fucking health and safety nightmare trying to put something like Funhouse on these days. Like, we've joked about it, but slamming the doors in the kids' faces and stuff like that, and the fucking, the car wash things going around and stuff like that. There are all, so you'd have to sign waivers for every fucking thing to get it going. So, there's that as well.
Yeah, there is that, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else there is to say about Funhouse. I was pleasantly surprised with how well it held up, even though I don't think it would work today. But yeah, I was quite happy as I watched, about 6 episodes. You're probably talking about 2.5, 3 hours. And like sometimes we do these shows and I go, right, I want my 2 hours back. And here I was like, you know what? It's made no difference to my day, apart from it's made certain meetings slightly less boring.
Yeah, I mean, I could watch more. I didn't need to, but I could have, and it wouldn't have bothered me. And I could watch more now. I don't need to, and I won't unless it's put in front of me. But if you put it in front of me, I'll absolutely watch it.
Yeah.
And
I wouldn't put it this way: if it came on TV, I wouldn't go looking for something else.
No, neither would I. And I think, as I say, the biggest surprise for me and the biggest compliment I think I can pay out of this is that actually Pat Sharp's a really fucking good TV presenter, and I think everybody should get off his fucking back. So there you go, putting my flag in the sand right here and now.
Yeah. I mean, like I said earlier on, I found him quite annoying, but that's probably more to do with me than anything else. As always, we'd love to know what people think. What are your memories of? Let's keep it clean. What are your memories of the Twins?
Which team are you on?
Yeah, absolutely. Which one was your favourite? So I think that I think Melanie was about half an inch taller. So that was, I think it's the only, and she always wore red. That's the only reason I could tell them apart.
Melanie was yellow. Martina was red.
No.
That was the other one. I thought Melanie was yellow and Martina was red.
Melanie was red.
Okay.
I thought it was, and I've got it in front of me. I've got it written down in front of me. So unless Wikipedia is wrong, and that never happens.
Not sure.
Yeah, Melanie was red. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, let us know what your thoughts are. Just what team you're on. Just what you think of it. If you go back and watch it now, how well does it hold up? I mean, for us, it's been quite a surprise, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so I mean, get in touch on Twitter at SMPDPod. You can go to our website, ddpodcast.net, or you can get in touch with us through there. You can also pick up our other shows and previous episodes of this show on Facebook and YouTube, the Double M Podcast Network. Wherever you get your podcasts from, be it iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, Amazon Music. Like, share, subscribe, leave some message, back to as best we can. Until next time.
Thanks for making our house a fun house.